Do you want to book more gigs? You could be overlooking this gold mine in senior living entertainment. Hello, my name is Deanna, and this is the Notable Musician Podcast. And today we are on the second part of our interview with 3 senior living lifestyles directors, where they give you the inside scoop on what they are looking for when they book entertainment. They give you tips, they give you advice on what to do, what not to do, and even for female performers as well. So let's get right to it. If you missed the first part of our interview, you can check it out right here.
I do have one that I'd love to add to that, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, and I'm sure Chris and Mark, you can relate to this. We make schedules, so if a lot of times if one thing gets delayed, it's like a domino effect. So if you are performing at anywhere, I'm not even going to say get there on time, get there early, and let's say I have you booked for 3:30. I'm not expecting you at 3:30, to just roll in. I'm expecting you to be set up and ready to perform at 3:30. So that means getting there early, taking the time to set up, get all your sound equipment ready. And I do have 1 or 2 performers where, the residents love them, but it gets frustrating because, they're like, well, you told me 3:30. And I'm like, yes, but your performance is 3:30, not what time I want you to get there. And then, we do an hour of happy hour, and then that puts us past 4:30, and it puts the kitchen behind because they're all going into dinner late. So if you are a performer, get there early to set up, don't just roll in at your expected time.
Yes, and because I do like to talk about the business side of music on this podcast as well. What are some I guess advice you can give to performers? I helped another senior living facility. She had asked for, other performers because she wanted to change it up. I'm like, sure. And I gave her a list of people, and I gave them some advice. I told them, make sure that you have a W-9. Some people didn't know what a W-9 was, or where to get it. Also invoicing to make sure that, you can create an invoice. I had another lifestyles director tell me that someone made an invoice on a piece of paper and that's how they handed it in. So can you touch upon kind of like the logistical finance business side? What would be some advice that you would have for performers? And then what are some of the frustrations that you see on that end?
I've had some performers. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I know, like in my company, and I'm sure they have it in others. A lot of times, I make sure that they email it to me, which is important because a lot of times if they bring the piece of paper and I'm not there, a lot of times it gets lost. I definitely get email, and then it has to go to billing at the community. But a lot of times too, by the time corporate gets it, it takes a while. And I know some of the performers get frustrated because it takes a long time sometimes to get that first check because I have to put them in the system. And I try to let my performers, I said, tell them, just to be patient, especially for the first one. But sometimes it could be very frustrating for them because they haven't gotten paid yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that I was going to say is that make sure once we contact you as a performer and we say this is the date that we would like for you to come in, go ahead and send your invoice in pretty much the next day if possible. Because I've had some people send me invoices way after they have performed, and that throws off our budget cycle. And you're expecting to get paid, but you're outside of our budget timing and you're being added to a different budget. So that can put a damper in bringing you back. That also can put a damper in getting paid because they can actually say that you're past your, time restraints of getting it turned in. Always be mindful. It is a business. So yes, we have 30 days net to get you your check, but you also have 30 days to get us an invoice so that we can get you paid. Because if you are to perform in July and you're giving us an invoice in August, um, you're past the deadline of when we need to have that turned in. So please be mindful of that.
Mhm. Another thing is like I know things come up, but try not to double book yourself or, have that reliability and be dependable, because there have been a few performers where, it's the day before and they've done it multiple times and they cancel. Maybe they got a better gig, I don't know, but it's at that point you've done it a few times. Why would I want to continue scheduling you? Because
Yeah.
you're probably just going to cancel on me. And I get it. Things come up. Everyone has their own life, but be dependable, be reliable. Because if you're just canceling, why would I want? You know, and a lot of times it's hard to sometimes book someone at the last minute. So if you cancel on me the day before, there might be a happy hour where I don't have entertainment, and all the resident, and they look forward to it.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I think that is important. Mark, I think you wanna say something?
One of the things I was going to say when he just said the residents look forward to it, think of this as an opportunity. I know that we are not necessarily connected to any particular ministry or anything like that at many of the facilities that you go to and perform at, but this is a time to really change the emotional and psychological aspect of the residents. When you go in, you actually bring in the light and the happiness when you come to the facility.
Uh-huh.
Some of them will never be able to get outside of the facility because of the fact of mobility problems or certain things. And this is the one opportunity that they have to feel normal and to feel like they're part of society. And I think sometimes the performers don't realize that they are the light. So you
Mhm.
are bringing the light and the joy to the people that can't get out and get to concerts or go to a play or go to different venues to enjoy entertainment. So always be mindful of that. If whatever you're having a problem with that day or whatever is going on outside of that, don't just make sure that making
Oh,
them
we can't hear
happy
you. Oh, there you
when you
go.
come in.
Yeah, and music
Okay,
Yes.
is
I'm
such an
sorry. I'm sorry about that. Just make sure you're making them happy.
and music is such an escape for everyone. And I have some residents who, I can't get to come to any activities, but you can best bet that they are at every single happy hour if there's an entertainer.
Yep. Yep.
But they'll come to nothing else but that.
Well, I think in any community, the biggest attendance is going to be when there's an entertainer there.
Hmm.
That's when you get your most people. A lot of times too, when there is an entertainer, a lot of times the families will come because they want to, they want to be there for the entertainer too. And that makes a big difference. It really does. I mean, I know in the past, I would say the majority of the residents come when there's an entertainer there. That's when you get your most people.
Yeah, I one of the things that you touched upon, Michael, being dependable is very important. And one of the my purpose in having you guys on is to let musicians and performers know that senior living communities are a great place to entertain and perform, and it is not a place where you just kind of barely give, whatever you can give. You need to approach it with professionalism. I have met some at the venues that I senior living venues that I have performed at. They have had amazing lives. Some of them have been entertainers. I've met a director of an opera company on the West Coast. I've also met Norman Rockwell's curator. I mean, they are there. They have lived amazing lives. And we should, as musicians and performers, approach that with professionalism. So, if you book yourself, as you said, Michael, you book yourself on a day, right? That date is done. Even if someone else comes along and maybe it's a better gig for you, Are you being professional by canceling on them the last minute? If it was flipped around and let's say you had a this was your best gig and someone else gave you another opportunity, you would say no. And but you having that professionalism and showing up when you say you're going to show up, that also affects the residents too, because if they see that you're and you keep canceling, then you are going to miss that opportunity for a relationship too. And as you all said in the beginning, it's the residents that tell you who they want. And if they know that this person is probably not going to show up, we don't really want to see them anymore. So, yeah, and, Michael, if you ever have a last minute, just call me.
You got it.
I don't live far away.
You
Yeah,
got it.
I'm a last minute call for a couple of people where I was at another place earlier this week, and she's like, "You've bailed us out." So, musicians, you can also offer that as well. Let's say maybe, like Michael, Mark, and Chris don't have any room on their calendar and they are booking months out in advance, then offer to be, a last minute call. So if they have a performer that doesn't show up, you can ask them to say, well, I know you don't have any time on your calendar right now, but here's my number. If there's anyone who cancels, give me a call. And I've done that many of times, and that's how I've been able to get into some places a little bit earlier because I offered that as well. Now, this is going to be a fun question. Our final question. How do you see the future of entertainment in senior living communities evolving? I kind of laugh at this because I'm thinking about my generation and what it's going to be like when we get there. So, yeah, tell me about your thoughts on this.
I think about that question all the time. Like when I'm in a place like this, what is the performer going to be singing? Because I don't think that they're going to be in the middle of the bistro rapping, So what is that going to look like? And I think, as the years go by, I think we're starting to get into a new generation of residents, which means, those classic 50, 60 songs are going to start fading out and we're going to start getting more of that Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, Elton John, the 70s and 80s music. But again, it makes me wonder, okay, are we going to in 60 years get the 2020 music? Like music
Oh.
of the 2020s? What does that look like?
Oh, that'll be interesting for sure.
I also think our tastes change as we get older.
Yep.
So many of the residents would have never listened to some of the things that they listen to now, but they evolve as well because their taste evolves. So I think that as we all come to that aging point, I think that entertainment will evolve, but we will start to do more of that 80s and 90s music. And I think our entertainment will continue to evolve because, again, I mentioned Circus Soleil. We had our circus that had elephants and all sorts of tigers and things like that. And now we go to Circus Soleil and we're totally, entertained by what they provide. And I think that as we continue to evolve as people, some of the things that people are able to do with their bodies and things that they can do vocally is just going to continue to get better and better. So I do think within the next few years, I can see us doing full out productions and full live, major concerts. As I mentioned the other day, we had the Hawaiian dancers there, but at the very end of the show, we went outside because he did some flame throwing where he was
Ooh.
tossing flames and throwing different things. And again, that's part of the evolution of entertainment.
Yes.
Very true. And I think being in the Orlando area, we're going to get a lot of residents that have worked maybe in the entertainment industry. We have Disney, we have Universal, we have SeaWorld. So we're going to get people that have been entertainers. So how do we entertain them when they're in a senior assisted living? It's going to be a challenge, but I think it's going to be very exciting. Very exciting.
Yes, yes. I actually had an interesting experience at a senior living venue, and one of the residents, he played, I believe, trombone for Frank Sinatra. And
Oh wow.
so yeah, yeah, and he was sitting there. I don't know how old he was, probably in his 90s, I'm assuming. And, after I was done, he took me aside and he's like, "You know, you have to do this and da 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 da." One of the things I do want to say to musicians, and I had mentioned this before, you never know who you are performing for. And you have to be sure that you are bringing your best because they deserve your best. They have worked hard, they have lived long lives, they are in their retirement years, but a lot of them are still very active. They still know what a good performance is, and we should be able to offer that to them. So, guys, thank you so much. We're gonna close it up a little bit. Chris, I'm gonna start with you. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
Just, make sure that you're giving your residents the best. They're there, they're this is where they live. They want good music. They want someone to give them a good afternoon for them. And I just think it's always, always think of them. Um and just be mindful of everything that's going on.
Yes, and I'm gonna put your email up here. If someone would like to hire you as a mime, can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I would love to come and perform. I've been doing this for a long time, and now that I'm retired, I can do this a little bit more now. So I'm definitely available if anyone needs me to mime any kind of venue that they're going to do. I do a lot of different types, and whatever they're looking for, just look me up, please.
Yeah, and you're an actress too. I ended up doing a what was it, Star Trek or kind of
Oh yeah, yeah. I was actually a sultry individual for Star Trek. That was one of the originals back from the '60s when Star Trek first came out. So that was kind of interesting. We did it together, and it was a lot of fun.
yes, I was Uhura, so I got to sing Uhura songs.
So,
But
so
yeah, so
it was definitely a lot of fun.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. So Chris is great if you want a mime or actress. She's great to get in contact with. And then I'm gonna shoot it over to Michael. Tell us
Yeah.
how we can get in contact with you.
You can reach out to the Allegro Winter Park Facebook page for all things senior living community performances. Um, can I send out my email, my personal email for any like
Yes.
personal things? It is
Go ahead
M.
and
Go ahead. It
mhm.
is MT Slagle, SLAGEL at yahoo.com. Um, gonna do a little plug, but I'm also an actor, so if you have any gigs, let me know. um, but as far as senior living,
and
be good
we're
to
gonna there
your.
we go. There's
Thank you.
Michael's email.
But be good to your lifestyle directors. Be good to your residents, and they'll be good to you.
Yes, very true. And Mark, how about you?
Well, first, all I would like to say thank you, Deanna, for having us all on
Mhm.
and putting this together. And I would say one of the things that was touched on is that this is their home. You're coming to their house, and whenever you come to someone's house, you always want to give your best. And so make sure you remember that, and remember that you're making someone's day and life very special. And they really appreciate it. And the more time that you can spend with them and get to know who they are, the more they will appreciate it. I know that we all are busy, but sometimes taking that 1 or 2 seconds to say hi or give a hug changes that person's day and really brightens their moment. For getting in contact with me to come and perform at my facility, I'm at Madison at Claremont. You can contact me through my email that's appearing on the screen now. But you can also contact me if you are looking for a bass baritone. I'm a bass baritone, and I do both operatic, R&B, and gospel. And I do act as well. So everything from musical theater and just straight stage play or movies.
Thank you so much for being with us here today and for sharing your expertise with us. Now, M is for mindset in my music acronym, and U is for understanding. So, we got a little bit more understanding about how to be booked in senior living. But I think that also applies to just entertainment in general. Some of the same things that they talked about, you can apply that to any place that you want to perform in. Now, the next letter in the acronym is S, which stands for systems. And next time, I'm going to show you some of the systems that I use to help me keep organized in my business. And being organized in your business is super important if you want to get a lot of gigs. So, to learn about the S, some of the systems that I use, check out the video right here.